Project Cross versus Gravel is well underway. There's a fairly noticeable difference in ride comfort of the gravel bike compared to the cyclocross bike. In today's test, I'm going to swap the wheels to find out how much of that comfort is due to the wheels. Now, I think the frame and the wheels of the gravel bike work together to make the ride more comfortable. I had the aluminum RLT9 a couple years ago, and even though I have the same wheels that I have on the current RLT, that bike was a little bit too harsh. In fact, I think it was more harsh than my cyclocross bike. Now, the increased comfort of the wheels I think is going to come from the rims and the tires. The tires, of course, being a higher volume on the gravel bike, but I think the rims are going to play a pretty significant role too, because the aluminum rims of the gravel bike are more compliant than the carbon rims on the cyclocross bike. When I took the Maxxis Rambler 40C tires off my cyclocross race bike a few months ago before cross season and put on 33C cyclocross race tires, I didn't notice a real huge difference in ride comfort. So I think rims are going to play a pretty significant factor in this ride comfort. So the order of today's test is I'm going to head out on some gravel roads on the cyclocross bike as it's set up now. I'm going to come back home, then I'm going to swap the wheels from the gravel bike, put them on the cyclocross bike. Before I head out though, I'm going to get the wheels ready because I have to put on a smaller rotor on the back. After I get back from riding the cyclocross bike with the gravel wheels, I'm going to put the gravel wheels back on the gravel bike and head out for a third time and see how that bike rides compared to the cyclocross bike with the gravel wheels. So I've got a new SRAM center lock rotor. These are pretty cool because the SRAM center locks go on and off real quickly, which really helps in today's test. All right, for tire pressure today, I'm going to run 26 in the front of the cross bike, 28 in the back, and 1 PSI lower in the gravel bike, so 25 and 27. All right, wheels off the gravel bike, sitting over there, so when I get back from my test, we'll be ready to do the swap and head back out. All right, so time to head out on the cyclocross bike. So fortunately, I have some dirt roads right near my neighborhood, and these roads are pretty typical of what we have around here. It's lime rock based, some rocks. They're more pitted than they will appear on the GoPro video. There's potholes and things like that that just don't show up in GoPro footage. It's kind of a hard lime rock base, not a lot of sand. One thing that's really cool about today's test is it's probably going to give me some good information as to whether I feel like I need to have both a cross bike and a gravel bike, because comfort is really important to me on long gravel rides. I've done some pretty long ones on the cross bike, but after getting that gravel bike, I was kind of surprised that I could do 4 hours and not feel too beat up. But you know, if the rides get longer than that, then you know, I think after about 4 or 5 hours, the more comfortable gravel bike is really going to help you to feel fresher at the end. All right, round one, cross bike with cross wheels. Now we're gonna switch out the wheels for the gravel wheels. So I am having to center the brakes again when I put the gravel wheels on the cross bike. All right, so it looks like I only had to adjust the brakes. The shifting looks okay, so I don't have to make any adjustments on the rear derailleur. Well, I thought I had the front brakes centered, but It's revving. All right, let's go back and recenter that brake. All right, finally back out and rolling on the cross bike with the aluminum gravel wheels. And the brake centering is still not perfect. It's going to take a little bit longer. I just didn't have time. They're dragging a slight bit, but not enough to really make a difference in this short ride. So that leads to, you know, another really strong consideration is if you want to have one bike with two sets of wheels, there's a pretty good chance it's going to take some time to get the brake centered. Sometimes you could just put your brake tool in there, get it centered, and be on your way. Sometimes it takes a little longer, and these SRAM brakes seem to be a bit more finicky than Shimano. I did have to spread the pads out because this rotor was newer, but it just took longer than I thought. So I'm going to roll for a while and kind of compare the comfort of these gravel wheels. Okay, so I finished the time on the cross bike with the gravel wheels. I'm not going to talk about comfort yet because I want to try these wheels back on the gravel bike before I give any findings that I have today. I will say that I added just 0.75 pounds. It was exactly 3/4 of a pound onto the bike when putting the gravel wheels on. So that's an additional 340 grams with the gravel wheels. All right, now we're back out on the gravel bike with the gravel wheels. This thing flies. All right, so I just finished today's testing, and I want to talk about what I found because I was actually surprised after today's test. So I went into this thinking that the comfort was about maybe 80%, 70-80% wheels and about 20-30% frame. So in other words, the wheels on the gravel bike is what really made it more comfortable, and the frame was a small percentage. I think after today's test that it's about 60% frame and about 40% wheels. Now obviously this is a subjective measurement. I wish I had some kind of scientific vibration absorbing equipment to put on the bikes to see which one was, you know, less bumpy or whatever. But you know, you got to figure the bumps are coming in through your three contact points: your hands, your butt, and your feet. So somehow that frame on the Niner is absorbing the impacts, and you can almost feel the frame give, especially on G-outs. And this is what I noticed on that RLT9 when I test rode it in Fort Collins, Colorado a few months ago, is on the G-outs, you can feel the frame and the seat post give a little bit. And so again, the RLT9 RDO is quite a bit more comfortable than the cross bike, and I'm going to say 60% of that is the frame. The wheels do have a play in it. So, you know, aluminum wheels do have a little bit more give than carbon wheels, and also the higher volume tires. So, I'm going to save some of y'all a lot of money right now. If you're looking at a giant TCX and you're going to use it for cross and gravel, I would say go for the model below the one that I have. So I have the Advanced Pro 1. The Advanced Pro 2 still has SRAM rival, great components, but aluminum wheels. I think that bike is going to be a tad more comfortable on gravel roads. It's not going to be significant because, like I said, today's test shows that a lot of it is in the frame. But, you know, aluminum wheels, if it were me and I were going to have one bike and one set of wheels for gravel and cross, it would be aluminum wheels. So the purpose of today's video isn't really to review the RLT9 RDO or really talk a whole lot about it, but that bike is impressing me in a big way. I went into this kind of thinking that, you know, I would test it, I would prove that the cross bike is just as good with, you know, gravel wheels and tires as the gravel bike, and I would probably, you know, end up not keeping my test bike, my project bike. Like I've done with my other project bikes this year. I've used them for a few months and then sold them. I think the RLT9 RDO is going to find a home in my bike stable. You know, as I switch back and forth between the two bikes, it's amazing to me the difference and feel of the front end. That's where, to me, the geometry differences have the biggest difference, is how that front end feels. So the front end on the cross bike, it feels like you can turn just thinking about turning, and the bike will corner. Whereas on the gravel bike, the front end just feels so much more solid and planted. Yeah, it's not as snappy, it doesn't corner quite as quick, but when you're charging hard down a dirt road, it's kind of like for those of you who mountain bike and you go from a cross-country bike that's really fast, twitchy handling, and then you get on a trail bike and you just feel like you want to charge into stuff. That's how you feel on the gravel bike. Now the difference isn't quite as dramatic, but the front end of that gravel bike is just so solid and planted. So that'll wrap up today's test of swapping the wheels. The conclusion is wheels make a difference, but they don't make as big of a difference as I thought. The frame still has a big role in comfort for a gravel bike. So as always, questions or comments, go ahead and drop them below. Thanks for watching.